Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel OT Rex. Today's video is about personal statements. This video is geared towards all of you who are interested in occupational therapy. Maybe you guys are already pre-OT students working on prerequisites or starting to work on your application process and wanted some advice on personal statement writing. Before I get started, I want to preface this video by saying that I am just one OT sharing my experiences with you guys, and this is my personal advice about what I think is important to include in a personal statement and what I learned about in terms of the admission process from other professors who were part of my admissions board when I was attending USC. It was interesting to learn about some of the things that they shared. So I will share everything that I can, but it is geared more towards occupational therapy students. So if you guys are going into a different profession, just keep that in mind. You guys can definitely watch the video, but just note that every personal statement is going to be different. And I think that depending on the setting you're going into, there will be certain cliches that might not be as much of a cliche for personal statements. And it really just depends on the setting you're going into. And I cannot guarantee that my advice is going to help all of you across the board. So please take this as a grain of salt, but just think about the things that I'm sharing and see if they are relevant to your situation and use what is useful for you guys. So let's get started. I did not put any of these notes in any sort of order, so I'm going to jump around, but just follow along with what I'm saying. I think the most important thing to figure out first when you're writing a personal statement or those little short essays that a lot of programs ask you to complete is to identify what your key message is and what the answer to the question that they are asking is. You really want to make sure you actually answer the question that they gave you and don't give them some kind of other roundabout answer or start talking about something else because maybe you got caught up in a different story that you wanted to tell, or you just kind of lost sight of your message because you are so burnt out writing and preparing for all these applications. So that is very important. I put that on the top. And I know that a lot of you guys are just going to feel extremely tired and over it once you guys start writing, because you will end up reading this personal statement so many times that you will feel like you have it memorized and you won't even know if it's a well-written essay or if it's the worst thing you've ever written because you've read it so many times that you just don't know. So it's very important to start your personal statement as early as possible. So let's say, when your prerequisite classes are starting to wrap up, you want to start thinking about what you're going to write about, maybe browse some personal statement ideas or see if your application can be started in advance and look at the questions. So that way, your brain starts to just think about it automatically in the background, and you start to connect some of the conversations you have on a day-to-day basis and things that you read and things that you relate to. It all starts to somewhat form in the back of your head. So this is important for you to start developing your message and how you want to approach answering these questions. And I wrote here that you should take breaks from your essays too, because it is very tiring. So if you start really, really last minute, then you're not going to get as much of a wholesome, well-written statement that really reflects what you wanted to share about your skills and your experiences. So the breaks will come in handy, as well as starting early if possible. I'm going to make my way around the top middle and continue sharing about how not only is the message that you're trying to convey important, but using emotions as well as anecdotes. So you want personal experiences and stories to really reflect what you gained from that experience and also how that experience changed you or how you plan on taking what you learned to the next level. So I think sharing those specific emotions and anecdotes are a really great way to capture your key message around a story that is entertaining and carries the reader with you through your journey. So I also wrote here on the top right that you want to remember that the reader knows absolutely nothing about you. Like, this is a stranger. So, well, in most cases, they are. So you really want to make sure when you're writing that you don't write as if there is a bias or any assumptions, such as you assuming that this person may know something about you that your friends or your family members know. So it's very important to stay relevant, but also make sure that you're being specific. I think when you are so stressed and caught up in the moment of trying to get all these applications done on a timeline, it's very stressful, but it's really great to feel grounded and think about, am I really addressing and conveying the message that I want? Is it clear? Is it explicit? Is it relevant? Those are really important things to consider. And right under it, I also shared, if you have anyone who can proofread for the flow, the grammar, the overall message, and just anything, the relevancy, that would be so great. I think having multiple people to proofread your personal statement and essays is a huge help, and it also gives you a break from your essay to hear someone else's perspective on what they got out of it and what they noticed. So it will give you a lot of pointers. I'm considering offering this service for anyone who may not have someone available to proofread. So let me know if you guys are interested in a service like that, and I'll see what I can do. Let's move on to the bottom. I think that we already started to touch upon a lot of these, but let's go over them anyway. I'm going to start on the left. So, something that's also really important is that you want to share your strengths in this statement. You don't want to focus on your weaknesses or have a bunch of statements about why, like, you're not good at something or why you didn't do something. Everything is about phrasing. Of course, all of us can dwell on writing about our weaknesses or how we had a negative experience that turned into a positive, but it's really important as to how you're shaping yourself in this essay and how others will read it. So you don't want anything that sounds very self deprecating, and you want to focus on how you had experiences that you gained strengths from and how those strengths are going to carry over into your success in the field and in your program. So, this next little triangle is probably the most simplified way that you can break down exactly how to break down these skills. I just said break down a million times. So, share specific skills you gain through your work and your school experience. And that breaks down into what did you do versus what did you gain. Those are two very different things. And I think a lot of the times we might write what we did, but not what we gained. So then after you write what you gained, then you bridge that to how are these experiences going to motivate you? What do you want to accomplish moving forward because of those experiences and things that you have gained? I know it sounds repetitive, but I hope that makes sense. Last but not least, be honest. This is such a simple one. No fluff, no lies, just be explicit. Be you, share your personality and your uniqueness in this personal statement, but don't lie about anything, guys. This is a really great little exercise to break down the difference between if you're writing about what did you do versus what did you gain. And I wanted to give you guys some examples. Interestingly enough, I noticed that when I was writing this out for you guys, I kept getting stuck on what did you do when I started describing it out loud. So I think from a story perspective, it's so easy for us to say, I worked on this and I worked with people like this and did that and volunteered here. But it's very tricky to tie it into what you gained. I don't think we're used to saying, so I did this and it really made me comfortable with that, or really helped me with these skills. It's not really something that we actively connect and say out loud in conversations. So it's a little different, but this is very important. So I have 3 examples here. I distinctly recall talking about my experience as an art teacher and a support aide. I got to work with her one-on-one, and there were a lot of different things that we did. So right away, I want to just share the list of things that we did instead of what I gained. So here I wrote down, I worked on intervention planning and the general schedule that we followed. So all of her activities and day-to-day like goals and everything were set by me. And so what did I gain from that? I have to think about it. And I said organizational skills because I was planning the schedule and also communicating with mom and figuring out how to approach X, Y, and Z. So, in addition to that, I wrote parent collaboration was something else that I did, which is a really easy one, but a really great skill since we are always working with people. So, what did you gain? Communication skills. The last one was client education and coaching. Right away, I think of leadership skills, hands-on teaching skills. There's so many ways that you can break down the activities that I did here into skills that I gained. So this is not just like, oh, one answer type situation. I just wrote down what I thought of off the top of my head, but you guys might have thought of something completely different. Like you might have been like, wow, well, building a daily schedule and working on goals must have been a lot of flexibility or a lot of multitasking. There's so many directions you can take this in, or even just like working with a client who has all these challenges and difficulties. You're building a lot of empathy and skills in helping other people work through their emotions. This is all very much on brand with being OTs. And those are the types of things that you want to share, not just what you did, but what you learned and what you gained from that experience. Good luck to all of you. Just remember to take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. You're doing great, and you're going to get through this. The application is the hardest part, and once you get into the program, it will be so much better. I promise you. So good luck to you guys, and let me know if you guys have any other questions for me. Take care.